Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Ares Academy. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 10 Japanese heavy cruiser Yoshino, which is currently available in the Armory for Cole. I'll have my thoughts on the ship later, but let's hop right into Captain Skills modules and upgrades. As you see, your modules here are pretty standard with Repair Party. You can pick between Fighter or Spotter. I prefer the Fighter plane, as you guys know. And then defensive fire or hydro. This ship is not really meant for chasing destroyers, so I recommend defensive fire on there, as well as the anti-air on the ship is actually pretty powerful. So there you have it for the modules. You do have a choice between torpedoes here as well. The second option is the 20-kilometer torps versus the standard 12 kilometers. Highly recommend the 20-kilometer torps. You can have a lot of fun with those, which you'll see here a bit later. As far as upgrades go, main armaments mod 1, pretty standard. A lot of this is actually pretty standard for most of your ships. Slot 2 damage control. Again, in slot 3, I went ahead with the anti-air skill. You already have the built-in Japanese accuracy, so the aiming system is not really worth it there. Rudder shift to help this big barge turn when you're trying to dodge shells in open water. Concealment in slot 5 here. And then finally, main battery reload there to round out your upgrades and modules. As far as the exterior of the ship goes, you're seeing here the alternate color scheme for the premium camo that comes with the ship if you've unlocked that for the Japanese line. The standard version looks like this. Again, both colors have the same stats, so it's just a personal preference. I tend to like the alternate because it's a bit different. Alright, and as far as captain skills go for that first point, use your choice between preventative maintenance or priority target, followed by adrenaline rush, superintendent, and then concealment expert. You supplement these skills by taking expert loader, expert marksman to help offset that turret traverse nerf from the module, and then advanced firing training, and then you've got a couple points left over, and I would just go ahead and throw them into high alert there. So that's the build I currently have for my Yoshino. As always, user preference, you might move some points around here and there depending on your playstyle, but a tank she is not, so a lot of the survival skills I feel like might not be the best. You can also go full anti-air if you so choose, but the way I've got mine spec'd up right there is what I would generally recommend for Yoshino. Alright, so now that you know how to outfit and spec out your Yoshino, let's talk a little bit about the ship, man. Overall, this ship is a lot of fun to play. If you enjoy Azuma, you will enjoy Yoshino probably even a bit more, because she is a beefed up version of Azuma. Obviously, the biggest difference right away from Yoshino and Azuma is the torps. Like I said, you can mount 20-kilometer torps on this thing, which can be very useful, especially when kiting away or, as you see here, defending against a cap that's being pushed by a lot of ships. Obviously, the biggest thing to watch out for with the 20-kilometer torps is allies. So just keep that in mind. You know, there's going to be a time where you launch these torps and you're going to have a teammate do a complete 360 drive back and hit them. That's going to happen. So if you launch torps behind your team, which is going to happen a lot because of where Yoshino needs to sit to do damage, just keep in mind that eventually, at some point, you're going to go pink. But other than that, you play Yoshino very similar to Zhao, very similar to Azuma. She is definitely a backline sniper with just tremendous accuracy and fire chance with the HE shells on those main battery guns. The AP is very serviceable if you catch broadside cruisers and unsuspecting battleships at close range, but for the most part you're in the back setting fires, spreading your dot around, and just racking up damage. You'll notice just how quickly our damage numbers go up in this game just by shooting multiple battleships and spreading the fires to ships that have already used their damage control. So if you're familiar with Azuma and Zhao or any of the backline HE cruisers, Yoshino will feel right at home. And you remember how I recommended concealment? The reason is if you take the concealment perk the captain skill and the upgrade, you can get your concealment down to just over 11 kilometers, which is absolutely insane, especially for a ship this size. Now, you don't use that concealment to get in close and brawl like you would with some other ships. You use that concealment to drop detection when you start to get focused by these battleships that get really mad that you're continuously setting them on fire. That is what the concealment is for, not to push and brawl. Now, the concealment, can come in handy late game when you're trying to reposition and whatnot to drop detection. But the reason you want it is so that way when you do get focused, you can disappear, because this ship just cannot take a sustained pounding for very long because of its just non-existent armor. But you see there with the 20-kilometer torps, we've already landed a few torpedoes, and we're already almost at 100,000 damage, and we're maybe 5 minutes into the match, multiple kills. I mean, this is the Yoshino at its finest. When you're able to sit behind your team and just concentrate fire, and not be the center of attention. Because she's such a strong backline ship, a lot of you might prefer to take the spotter plane instead of the fighter plane, and that's perfectly fine. It's all user choice. My playstyle, my personal preference is just the fighter plane, so that's why I run it. For those of you that are proficient with the spotter plane, by all means, get that extra range if you're comfortable using it. But like I said, I prefer the fighter, so that's what we got here. But the Yoshino is just, it's such a large ship. If you find yourself when you get close range to some of these higher tier battleships, mainly, Yamato, Musashi, Georgia now with 457s, any of the Russian battleships, if you're close and you're getting targeted, it's a good chance you're going to take massive damage. This ship just cannot tank for extended periods of time, so don't charge in and then try to bow in and reverse like a Moskva or a Stalingrad, Des Moines, any of these more armored ships. If you park yourself at medium range and just try to bow tank and reverse, you're gonna get annihilated. That is not how this ship plays. This ship should always be moving, should always be adjusting course, varying speeds, and generally trying to be as far away from the heavy guns as possible, because Yoshino is such a large ship. It's fairly easy to hit even at longer ranges, so just keep that in mind. If you get too close, Yoshino is such a big target, you will get focused a bit. In this match right here, I took a little bit of a risk with the battleships to my left. I was hoping they were going to push around the corner and kind of leave me alone to fight my team, so I pushed in to try to deal with a couple of these destroyers. And if you do catch a destroyer close to you, Yoshino's guns will just absolutely annihilate them. The HE and accuracy is really, really good at killing destroyers. Like I said, the only downside of that is if you're actively pursuing destroyers, you're gonna find yourself overextending a bit. And here you go. This is what I'm talking about. So just like that, we've lost half health from one volley from a battleship that decided to shoot at me instead of the team like I was hoping. Luckily, we didn't get one shot there, so we're able to actually, turn back in and heal up a bit. But that's what I'm talking about with the armor. It's very, very fragile, and battleships that get good shots on you are going to do massive damage. Just keep that in mind when you do have to push. In a game like this with the Cyclone moving in and the way the map is going, just keep that in mind. If you get focused, you're going to get hit hard. But the ship is so much fun to play. I really do enjoy it. It's one of my favorite cruisers. Is it better than Zhao? Probably not. I mean, everything this thing can do, Zhao can do. And Zhao obviously has hyper maneuverability and just as good, if not better, survivability. So if you have a Zhao and you're trying to save coal and you've got a few choices, would I recommend Yoshino right away? Probably not, just because, like I said, a Zhao can do everything it can do. But if you have coal to spend and you're looking for a really fun ship, I definitely recommend Yoshino. It's definitely worth it. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, having the torpedoes on this thing makes it a lot harder to deal with than Azuma. So you'll see here where my teammate died, so I had to instantly try to abort and get out of here, and we took another massive hit. But the torpedoes here, you know, we torp the gap, and these torps do a lot of damage, so not to mention your guns. We get a little bit lucky here. Our engine gets knocked, so we're basically a sitting duck, but I'm angled just enough to at least make it somewhat difficult for the battleship to get consistent hits. The heel obviously is nice, but this is where, you know, Yoshino can be scary. If the battleships are missing or they're not getting the Citadel hits, you can put out some serious damage pretty quickly. But sustained fights against battleships, you're not going to win. We get, like I said, we get pretty lucky here that he's not landing critical hits on us as we're just a sitting duck. But you know, Yoshino's alpha damage is so good. It is such a fun ship to play. I really do enjoy it. Now, if you've been paying attention to the match, this is one of the few close matches you get at tier 10. A lot of times it's a steamroll one way or the other, and that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But this match is pretty close, and I don't know how we survived this, honestly, now that I'm watching it back. But the ship is really good. The concealment is nice, being able to drop detection when you need to, being able to somewhat survive some hits. But like I said, if you were to get into like a brawl with a full health battleship, it's just not going to end well. And you see the AP. I mean, we've got all overpins there. But the torps, again, make this ship, in my opinion. If Yoshino didn't have torps, I don't think it would be all that great. But the torps just make this thing a powerhouse, especially in a situation like this. It just is really strong. And if you angle, you can take a little bit of a beating, but you're covered in 25 millimeter, so it's not going to be, like I said, sustained damage is not what you're looking for. But other than that, man, my thoughts on the ship: fun factor, 5 out of 5. It's a lot of fun to play. As far as actual power of the ship, I would give it, you know, 7 out of 10. It's got, you know, really good guns, and the torps are great. Really good fire chance and everything. So yeah, it's a strong ship. A lot of fun to play. So yeah, I definitely don't have any issues recommending it if you've got the coal to spend. So yeah, I mean, if you look at our stats up in the top right, I mean, we've already got a Kraken over 200,000 damage. Just about every ribbon you can have. The ship is so strong late game against a lot of cruisers and even destroyers to an extent, if you can catch one in that, you know, within range, you know, that medium range. The Yoshino guns will just annihilate them. And this is what Yoshino can do when you're able to sit in the back and kind of pick and choose your targets and not get focused. If you can manage to survive like we did those close encounters with the battleships, this thing can just absolutely dominate. And you know, if you look at the scoreboard, it's pretty much coming down to the wire here, trying to find that final cruiser, and it actually pops up right here. And we just, I mean, look at our health. We don't have any more heals, so you know, if we had more health and heals, I wouldn't turn broadside here. We'd stay angled, but I know I'm not going to survive another volley, so we just go ahead and turn, get the torps off, fire everything we've got, and hope for the best. And as you can see here, these torps look pretty good. Again, the torps make this ship so much fun. Our destroyers try not to die here, and just like that, we clip them with a torp, win the game, 6 kills, 250k. And that's Yoshino, folks. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. And make sure to catch all the action live on Twitch. That's where all the fun happens during the week. Krakens like this trigger giveaways. So if you've got nothing going on, make sure to stop by. I'd love to see you. As always, thank you, and have a great day.